Dominika is going to tell you about a different case study where AI is helping do not the new and exciting stuff, but the old stuff that you already hated before AI came into the picture. So this is going to be about legacy projects, our favorites, right? Okay, give it up for Dominika.
Hey, hi, hello, how are you? Do you still have energy after a whole day of learning? Woo! Yeah, it can be a little better. Come on, you can do it better. I believe in you. Perfect. I was afraid because typically when I do it in Poland, it's like smile in Polish. No one reacts, but you're amazing audience. I know it already. So I'm super happy to be here. And maybe let's start with some audience check, okay? It will be easy, I promise. I will say a sentence, and if you agree with that, you have to raise your right hand, left hand, or both hands, okay? We can do it. Okay, so who in the room is a software engineer? Almost everyone. Okay, do we have any testers here? I don't see any. Okay, we can skip tests at all. They don't see. Perfect. Do we have project managers? Okay, we have few. Who needs more coffee today? Yeah, after those two meetings, you can go, two talks, you can go for more coffee. The last question, who of you is already tired of this question? Come on, recently even my hairdresser asked me, are you afraid that AI will take your job? And to be honest, my honest reaction was, no, please do it. But just the parts I don't like, you know. I love the vision when I'm doing some fancy stuff or going for karaoke and some agents in the background are doing my work I don't like. I have some small confession for you, so please don't tell it to my manager, but there's one very important thing about me you should know. I'm lazy. And I'm super lazy. So I'm always looking for a way to make my job easier, faster, you know, just easier. There's also a catch. I'm lazy, but in a millennial way, which means I cannot just give up. I feel pressure, feel responsibility. I still want to deliver some stuff, but in an easy way. And this talk is about that. So when I started thinking about it like a year or year and a half ago, I thought, yeah, AI is exactly what I need. It will be a tool doing my work, making it easier, faster, so I can be lazy, but still have my job done. Back then, there was a catch. Almost all tutorials, articles, and documentation was always talking about amazing architecture. Only greenfield projects with the latest version of all frameworks with no dependencies and probably one of two users because, you know, when you have real users, you have to do some stuff a little slower. While in reality, that's much more what we work on. So maybe we have amazing modern digital infrastructure, but also we have this one dependency which some random guy in Nebraska has been thanklessly maintaining since 2003. Or when you explain some dependencies in your project, you feel like you explain some conspiracy theory. And yeah, that talk is about, can we use AI for that? Let's see. Before we will go there, a few words about me. As you already know, I'm Dominika Zając. You can also call me Domi. I'm senior software engineer at Qualtrics and Google developer expert, Microsoft MVP in web technologies. I'm super crazy about Chrome DevTools, accessibility, tooling, and karaoke. So if you want to talk about any of those topics, let me know. Especially if you know good karaoke places in Warsaw, because I have to find a new one. And here's a QR code to my LinkedIn. Let's stay in touch. Okay, Unfortunately, this talk is not about karaoke, so I have to go further. So when I'm not at the karaoke, I do a lot of stuff. For example, last year, I worked at many different aspects, like migrations between languages, frameworks, and tools. For example, migrating from Enzyme to React testing library, which probably majority of you did in recent months or years. Cleanup of stale feature flippers and some stale code base. Managing dependency upgrades, which are not obvious in front-end world, as you probably know. Fixing some pulses, bugs, debugging legacy code, and adding missing tests, unit integrations. Majority of that in brownfield or legacy code bases. And here's very important information. Brownfield, maybe not everyone heard about this word. It's a fancy word for normal repository. So repository which is not greenfield, which is not ideal, which has some maybe older dependencies, which is actually being used by real clients. So you cannot rewrite everything in one day because you still need to maintain it, where sometimes you don't have some documentation or something is missing because it's normal repository we all know, not from tutorials, but our reality. And for people who are TikTok users, the same slide, but in visual form. So what I did with AI last year, a lot of coding, investigating, talking to people, checking, and it's not an accident that this icon is here so many times, because sometimes it was really crazy. So I've prepared a talk so you can avoid my problems and, just work with AI in perfect form, even if your work is not perfect. Okay, so what I've learned during all those projects. Preparation drives success. And you've heard that even in the presentation just before mine, and something my mom would tell, right? Oh, you should prepare for this exam. Yeah, but it's still true. Even with AI fancy tooling, we still need to prepare and we still need to work on stuff. And yeah, you've seen it in the previous presentation, right? Something don't add up if you just want to vibe code and tab multiple times and think it will work. So what we can do? Probably you've heard about FIFO and LIFO, and at studies they told us a lot about it. But have you heard about GIGO? Yes, exactly. Garbage in, garbage out. So typically, in machine learning, we use it to explain that if you train your model on trashy data, you will have a trashy output. Or when you have a bias, and you as a human are choosing data to train your model on, your model will have a bias. So guess what? When you use AI on your legacy spaghetti code, it may try to be helpful and produce code in your convention, right? So kinda spaghetti, kinda trashy, kinda not the best, what you want. Fortunately, there are a few things we can do to avoid that. And I've prepared some checklist. I will just touch the topic because, we have only 20 minutes, but you can scan QR code or go to my Medium when I wrote down an article about it. The idea is you have a checklist. It's not perfect. You need to adjust it to your repository. But you have some highlights, what to check and how to prepare your repository before you put agent into it. So you do some work to prepare it to achieve better efficiency. And some of them are super obvious. Some people even asked me, why you put it there? It's just programming convention. It's like telling people to wash their hands or something like that, right? So we need Git or GitLab, GitHub, whatever you choose for Git, but some form of source control. You need to ignore rules. So not everything is committed to Git, not everything is visible to your ID, to your model, especially secrets. Linting and formatting, again, kind of obvious, right? IDE setup, so before you use your tool, know how it works and prepare it, install some additional extensions, plugins, and learn some standard commands and put them in package.json in front-end Word. So all people in your project and also model knows how to, for example, run tests. Why I put it here? There's a super fun experiment I recommend to each of you. Just put const GitLab token equals and wait what agent will put there. And in my experiments, at least once per 5 tries, it's a real token committed by someone. Really. So if you're out of the tokens in the end of the month, just tap multiple times and, someone will sponsor your additional learning. Please, please, please don't do it. I know that, for example, GitHub has some special guidelines. It will notify you. But still, just think about your credentials and, of course, money. Okay. Some more. This part of this checklist I created. What's also important here? Those standard repo commands. So everyone, including agent, know how to, for example, start application with only one command, or how to run all tests, how to run unit tests, how to run linter, and so on, so on, so on. It will help your junior developer in the team, but also your agent. What's more? Tasting safety net. Again, kind of obvious stuff, right? We talked a lot about it, even before AI world. But it's still super, super important. And yeah, I have to admit, I did this mistake in one of my projects. I wanted to rewrite PHP to React and Node. I hate PHP. So it was very important for me to do it as fast as possible, so I don't have to work in PHP never again. But I didn't want to invest in legacy code base, right? Because it will be rewritten, so there are no tests right now. There is no point in adding those tests. Actually, there was a point. Because, yeah, it was kind of cool. I created some prompts, very smart prompts, long prompts, good prompts. I've moved everything. It worked. I could see it in the browser. But then I spent really, really hours investigating missing edge cases, investigating some problems. And yeah, I was super happy when I discovered this meme in the internet, because it means I'm not the only one who did it, right? It always helps you when you discover that you are not the only stupid person in the world. So there's a lesson I learned hard way. You still need this testing safety net. And my guidelines, my personal guidelines, are that you need unit tests covering core functionality, and coverage should be around 70%. You need end-to-end tests covering critical user flows, and CI has to run before every merge. So you cannot merge not tested code. Of course, there are some additional rules. For example, I'm super huge fan of MR templates with checklists for things you cannot check automatically. And of course, you can add also some AI code reviews here, some automated repo agents. It's of course optional depending on how you approach here. But yeah, super, super important stuff. And as mentioned previously, you have to do it before refactor, because after refactor, it's already too late. Okay, the next thing, requirements and intent, aka Spice Girls rule, right? Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. And without good requirement, without good intention, our agent cannot understand that there's a hidden requirement we as people can add, because we know it, especially when we are experienced engineers. But yeah, your agent cannot guess it. So it was mentioned today already, we have this spec-driven development. It's not perfect. but still, it's a good rule to put some requirements in standard form in the beginning, in your repository, and start from that. Update it when needed, and what is additional benefit of that? You will have documentation. And again, we are in a non-perfect world, so we cannot create it for all existing things at once. But what I'm doing, it's a hybrid approach. So I'm doing those documents about new functionalities for new features, and the old ones I'm trying to update when touch them or when it's needed. And here's a nice thing about those requirements, right? When someone asks me if robots will take our jobs, I'm always telling, yeah, but people will have to accurately know what they want, and they don't. So we are safe. Don't worry, we have our jobs for next years, for sure. Okay, next one, high-level documentation. It's kind of connected with this previous one, but it's on more high-level stuff. And again, something we've heard already during this conference, switching context is difficult. And also, sometimes we don't have some context. So those high-level documents are providing additional information. What's happening in this repository? And it's especially important for business logic. Because, you know, models learned a lot about technology from different projects. But what makes our job, our work, our projects special, probably, is business logic. So those documents are super, super, super important. And also help us avoid switching context too often. Because not sure if you feel the same, but it's exactly me. I can be super focused on one thing, but then my phone rings, and I have no idea what I spoke about previously. And also, when agent is asking me about something and stopping their work because they need human input, yeah, they're losing this context as well. Okay, next one, AI rules and guardrails. It was also mentioned at the conference. So we need to prepare some additional information. How it works in our world, how it works in given repository, what is our convention, which framework we are using for unit tests, because there's so many of them that, you know, agent will just guess. And that's my discovery from the last year, thanks Przeprogramowani, that those rules are not only for agents, you know? We don't have to adjust and prepare everything for AIs. So what we can do, we can also add those rules to help us as developers. Because, yeah, again, it's me in this meme. I often find myself in memes. So when I need to review 10 lines of code, yeah, I will find a lot of issues. But when it's too long, it will be just, yeah, good, merge, please, it will work. So, not sure if you heard, but according to research, senior developers are forced to do more and more code reviews. And their average productivity is lower because of that. So we should not optimize creating new code. We should not find a way to fix our flow to deliver more code. We need to focus on this bottleneck. So how to make our code review faster, easier, and better. And here, you can, for example, include in those rules additional tips like split your work into parts, stop from time to time, and ask me for the feedback. Or what I'm doing when I'm, don't forget about your quality of life. Yeah, what I described previously has a cool name, cognitive load reducing rules. Yeah, but they are cool. And what I'm doing from time to time, for example, when I'm bored, I'm asking, okay, so right now you have to talk to me as a pirate. Because why not? If it helps me to focus, if it helps me to keep context window and my attention, it will still work. And you see, storm on the horizon. There are some bugs in your code. So don't forget about yourself. And remember that rules can be also for developers. Okay, and MCP integrations. Radek mentioned this ping pong with AI during working on your project. So there was a big issue some time ago, sometimes it's still an issue, when agent is stopping and asking us for the feedback. And we are providing this feedback and telling, yeah, right now, this one issue is better, but you still need to work on something else. Agent is doing that and coming back for me, can you tell me, is it good or not, and what I can do to improve it? So yeah, we're playing this ping pong, and I'm lazy, so it's a sport. I'm lazy. It won't work, right? And you may think about MCPs like USB-C. So it's just a way to communicate and allow agent to have their own hands and eyes, and for example, preview something in your browser, like Web Core Vitals in Chrome DevTools MCP, or how it looks like with Playwright MCP, which are super, super powerful right now and may help you with many, many scenarios. Oof, a lot about this checklist, but I still have few slides. So the next thing I've learned the hard way is that it's impossible to fully automate 100% pixel perfection or complete accessibility, even if some tools are promising you that, it will be perfect. It's me, still, after many, many years in IT, I still feel like this guy in the picture sometimes when I'm doing some CSS work. But what's even worse, 84% of websites generated by web developers using ChatGPT contained accessibility issues. And it's kind of obvious when you think about it, because majority of our web pages is not accessible. And it was trained on those non-accessible data. Giggle, again, right? Garbage in, garbage out. And it's not a good news, because we have this new rule in European Union, so we are forced to be accessible. In the future, it will be even stronger, and I fully, fully support that. And I hope that our world will be more accessible soon. So there's also a good news for you. From the same research, the AI was able to fix approximately 70% of violations when specifically instructed to do so. And it's kind of aligned with my personal experience. So again, put it into AI rules. Put it into your agents MD. Remember about it, but also remember to provide those specific instructions to your agent to not forget about accessibility. And what to do with that? First of all, lower your expectations, okay? There are many managers who claim that, yeah, you've built it with AI, so it will be perfect. Nope. Nope. It will be faster. It will be better. It will do, let's say, 80–90% of my work. But yeah, still, it won't be perfect. You have to accept it and work around it. Provide additional prompting, testing input, because thanks to that, we can address those issues, for example, about web accessibility or styling, and also use browser tools, screenshots, Chrome DevTools, Playwrights, and MCP, because those tools are super powerful, and I believe they will be even better in the future. Okay, what else we have here? Nothing can replace human code review, and I feel that Zbyszek will approve this slide. I didn't consult it with him, but yeah, I believe he asked about it like 3 times already. Did you, recognize that? And yeah, I totally agree, we still need people in the loop. Not only because robots sometimes are a little dramatic, right? Not sure if you see, but Herbert is telling it's stuck near a cliff. So, come on, you are a little dramatic right now. Stop being drama queen, agent, please just work. But it's even more difficult and problematic. They make a lot of mistakes. And for example, in one of my experiments, I especially injected hard-coded token into the code and asked AI agent to do security audit and fix it. And you know what? it didn't remove it, but added in 5 additional files. I have no idea why, but just imagine it was, merged and sent to the world. Maybe some of you will have additional credits thanks to me. So, enable AI pre-checks on each MR. Copilot is super cool here. Prepare MR checklist. MR template with checklist, 2 things which need manual verification, like accessibility. And remember that security is non-negotiable. So you always have to check for that. And yeah, you cannot totally remove humans from the loop, at least for now, because, with AI, maybe tomorrow it will no longer be true. So time for the final answer. Is it worth investing in AI in legacy or brownfields projects based on everything I said previously? How do you think? Who think it's worth that? Okay, a few hands. Who thinks it's not? Okay, who didn't raise their hand because they missed the question? Yeah, okay, majority of you. I'm on the stage, so I have a final say. And it's like for the next 5 minutes, the only correct answer. And the only correct answer for this question is typical consultant answer. It depends, right? So it won't work. If you expect 100% correctness, if you don't want to invest in your environment and tooling, you don't want to provide human gate, expect super perfection for pixels, accessibility, or just expect magic because you read something on LinkedIn, but it may work really good with some additional help. So good rules and guidelines, some meta prompting to improve your prompts. So it's using prompts to improve your prompts. Human code reviews, testing safety net, shorter feedback loops, and of course, good state cost management, and of course, a lot of patience. Let's end with some numbers, okay? We all engineers, we love numbers. So 68% of developers report saving over 10 hours per week with AI tools. Harnessing Gen AI can eliminate much of the manual work, leading to 40 to 50% acceleration in tech modernization timelines and a 30% reduction in costs. TLDR, a lot of saving, right? According to the next report. And AI tools are reaching 87% accuracy in extracting core business logic. What is funny, very often it's more than human work here. But there are also bad numbers. 62% of white-collar workers expressed interest in AI-proof skills, like plumbing, for better long-term stability. It's not only about IT, it's about white collars in general, but yeah, it's kind of terrifying. 73% of European IT professionals report burnout. And very often, the repetitive tasks are the top contributor for that. So if you ask me, let AI take the job. Just the parts we don't like, so we can focus on what really matters. Our health, work, hobbies, or things which really bring value for our customers. Thanks a lot. And yeah, if you want to stay in touch, TLDR. For those who, again, just use TikTok, be lazy, but in a smart way. And here's my LinkedIn QR code, and I'm ending because I see that, I'm over time. Sorry for that.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's pack up and go there.
Do we have time?
We have time for 2 more questions at least, so I'll steal your machine.
Okay.
Do you want to keep it, or should I toss it?
I was trying coding with only talking, but it's not perfect yet, so I love to have my laptop.
All right. Okay, so... these are changing fast.
Okay.
All right.
Choose an easy one, okay?
All right, so this is also my favorite question from the audience. So you gave a lot of tips. Most of those tips, if not all of them, seem to apply to working with AI coding in general. So could you highlight which of those are most important specifically for legacy projects?
Yeah, I believe that all of them are bringing the value, but they are more important in legacy work. So, for example, when you work with newest version of React, you don't need so many rules about good practices. But when you work in legacy part, you need to provide more context. So mostly it's about context, about rules, about this testing safety net, which you need to implement before starting refactor. But again, it will help you with any project, not only legacy one.
Yeah, I can imagine that working on a legacy code, the LLM might start mimicking the bad practices that are already there. Do you recommend any specific technique that's not part of what everyone knows already from your experience to scare it to a point where it won't do bad things as inspired by the legacy code base?
Yeah, I didn't try to scare LLM. It's something I have to try in the future. But yeah, I saw the thing you mentioned multiple times in many projects. But again, there is no magic wand. You need to provide good rules. What helped me a lot is providing clear do and do not sections in rules. So for example, I needed to specifically raise do not follow this pattern already existing in the repository, or do not use this framework because LLM was trying to be consistent with what's already in the repository. And for example, when I was migrating from Enzyme to React testing library, it was still trying to write new tests in Enzyme. So I needed to add it to the section do not use Enzyme, and it helped. But again, it's like standard procedure, and it will help you with normal repository as well.
Yeah. One of the questions also mentioned that getting AI to work on your project is still kind of similar to onboarding a new person onto a project. So some things you conventionally do in that case probably also apply.
Yeah, it's my discovery recently that I see more and more similarities about delegating your work to juniors in the team, to propagating data, to making information in your team discoverable for everyone. So the longer I work as a team lead, the more similarities I see between working with many agents and many juniors. You need to know what to delegate, how many information to provide to human and to the agent. So yeah, again, good practices from management books can help you with orchestrating agents. It's kind of surprising for me. Maybe it's obvious for some of you. But yeah, for example, rules about the delegation and what to delegate to agent and what to do by yourself. You can also learn from books about delegating work for managers.
Okay. We have one more question that seems to be very, very long. So if I can get a promise of a short answer before we run out of time for this, I want to say we have the research about 90% efficiency drop. Someone looked it up, and the target group for that research was very few developers. So that research may not scale. And people are more interested in your particular experience. So in your experience, where it works and where it doesn't in brownfield projects?
Like this research for me was more aligned with moving bottleneck. So previously, our bottleneck was on creating code, and we spent a lot of time there. Right now, the bottleneck shifted, and the bottleneck is on code review. So I believe that maybe this research was conducted on a small group of people, but still aligns with my experience in this area. And yeah, I would love to see more, but we don't have much research yet about AI.
Yeah, the yet part is good.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for a great talk.
Thank you.